morning, good afternoon, good evening, good lunchtime, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to Frankly Fridays with Helgi and me finally making a return after a good 3 months. Good to be back. And how are you doing, Helgi?
Yeah, it's so nice to be back here with you. It was very enjoyable period with Travis, and we hope that we have also a show together, all three discussing Chelsea. But it's nice still so getting back to the initial version of the show, and hopefully we'll have a very enjoyable discussion because there is quite a lot to talk about on and off the pitch, starting
Yeah,
from tomorrow's game against Leicester. The transfer activity and things are expected to get even more hectic because there are the last 5 days of the transfer window. And of course, we'll have a chat about the Champions League group stage draw, which was very intriguing to say at the least, based
yeah,
on what we saw yesterday. So for me, it's a massive pleasure to be back with you, and hopefully you'll enjoy it as well, and people in the chat will enjoy it too.
of course, yeah. Um, so there's lots of actual topics to start chatting about. I think, as you mentioned, there's a good order there with respect to the preview for Leicester, and then of course some transfer chatter, which is always a little bit precarious. And then yeah, we can probably round it off, like you say, um, at the end with maybe just some general thoughts on Chelsea and the state of things as they are. So I think without further ado, should we start having a little bit of a chat about Leicester, maybe do a little bit of a recap on last weekend, our thoughts, and then see where maybe we feel we are with respect to this weekend.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Uh, so I'm starting with my uh, ex- what I expect to see from the game, with my thoughts regarding the reaction we want to see from the team after that humiliating defeat at Leeds. Uh, so first of all, you need reaction from a mental point of view, and this is very important because taking into consideration the game against Leeds, I think it's a massive problem which has been um, already frequent at the club. It has to do with the fact that we may perform very well one game, and in the other game it's another kind of performance that we haven't even thought about. And as Thomas Tuchel said in today's press conference, we have uh, enough quality to beat Leeds, and let alone get beaten 3-0 by them, with all due respect. So for me, it's a case of seeing a mental reaction from the team as a whole tomorrow, and get back into the winning ways. Because if we felt a state of anger and disappointment regarding the circumstances in which the 2 points were unbiasedly saying robbed from us in the game against Tottenham, against Leeds, more than a state of anger, it was a state of despair and disappointment from what we saw, because we were totally outplayed. Um, Besides some kind of how chances that we had in the first 20 minutes. So all in all, we want to see a kind of reaction like that from the team as a whole, um, especially considering that it's a decent opportunity, at least on paper, considering that Leicester aren't at their best shape at the moment. They have one draw and two defeats, and barely um, got through to the next round of Carabao Cup against a League Two side, Stockport. I think they won on penalties. So this is the first thing I want to see, and especially from the attackers, because it has been one of the issues that have been obvious. We have talked to each other before May, during the ownership process, and still when we talked about games in specific, we always agreed about the fact that our um, attacking potential should be higher. And as far as what we have seen this season, there have been three games, and we have relied on 2 set pieces and 1 goal from Reece James to help us see through against Everton and Tottenham. So this is a reoccurring issue which has to be addressed, and this is a certain kind of expectation that I have for the attackers, especially Kai and Mount, because we know that we love them because they are our players and they have given their contribution in specific moments. But it's a pity to see that they haven't really found the consistency on and off the ball as far as we have seen from the start of pre-season, actually. So this is what I want to see in particular, and hopefully this is they will try to find the back of the net and be crucial not only tomorrow but also in the coming games. Midfield is a problem because Thomas Tuchel said in the press conference that Kante is out for 4 or 5 weeks, which is really bad news if you ask me, due to his nature that we don't really have a player like him at his best day, despite his fitness problems that have been annoying for all of us and for himself as well in the last few years. And also Kovacic can only play 20 minutes. So I'm very intrigued to see what will be the choice of the pivot. I'm against putting Gallagher as a in the pivot role next to Jorginho, because he seems too aggressive for that role and rather adapts in a higher position like he was deployed at Crystal Palace last year, rather than playing in a box-to-box role. So maybe I think Tuchel will go with something similar to what we saw against Leeds in the second half, not in terms of the system. I think we'll play on 3 at the back, but in terms of the pivot choices, I think it will be Jorginho and Ruben rather than Jorginho and Gallagher, and and I genuinely hope that we rather start Chalobah or Aspi at the back and have Reece in that right wing back role, because he's with the attacking problems that we have, he is one of the most dangerous sources of attacking ability that we may have at the moment, due to his sharp crossing, due to his ability to join the attack and also keep the width perfectly. So I think that's all in all what I really want to see, a reaction from the psychological point of view from all the team, and hopefully to see a more sharpness from the attack in the last 20 meters, because it can be very problematic and very frustrating in the coming games if they so not only the starters from the last game, so and the first 3 games, Mount, Havertz and Sterling, but also the players that have been on the bench should compete and make sure that they deserve a spot in the team, because as it stands, I think when some of them play, we try to see the others, and when those who have been on the bench play, we want to see those who started before, due to this lack of consistency. So my opinion is this. I'm trying to give a sort of predicted lineup before going back to you. I'd go with Mendy on goal. He made a mistake against Leeds, but I think that it's not worth it trying to find a sort of hope to see Kepa back, because Kepa has his own problems, and we can't ignore that just because of Mendy hasn't been in his best shape since he came from Africa Cup of Nations. Koulibaly is red carded, which will be a miss, but I would go with Thiago. So Chalobah, Thiago, and Aspi, as I said. I'd go with Cucurella, because Chilwell, it's still in the process of recovery from his injury, and Reece on the right, Jorginho, Ruben as the midfield pivot, and I would go with Mount, I'll try to give Pulisic a chance. I don't know if it will happen. I have a feeling that Tuchel will go with Mount, Havertz, and Sterling again. But maybe I would say that there may be a kind of change. So I'd go with Mount, Pulisic, and Sterling up front. What do you think?
Yeah, I like your thinking. I was just very dispirited by the fact that we seemed very limp and very submissive against Leeds. Like the desire wasn't there. The midfield totally fell apart. Our defensive structure looked all over the place, and it was just quite irritating as well. Like to me, the fact that Koulibaly seemingly got a needless red card as well, which really didn't help us. He's unfortunately he's only suspended for one game because it wasn't a straight red. But yeah, just everything that could go wrong seemed to go wrong against Leeds, and it really irritated me because I think about where we are and where we need to be, versus like Man City and Liverpool. And whenever I watch Man City and Liverpool, they obviously they lose games here and there, but they never lose them in the manner that we lost against Leeds. And the person that I was thinking of after the game was Raheem Sterling, because I thought here's a guy who's won 4 Premier League titles in 5 years. Now he's just signed for a team that's supposedly supposed to be doing that. Um, and Yeah, like if I was in his position, I'd go back into the dressing room thinking, or being really dejected, thinking, well, how is this team ever going to get to where I've just been? You know what I mean? I mean, of course, it's a process, but I just expected more given the fact that we made three very positive signings. That players that automatically improved our 11 in Kukurea, in uh, Mendy, and in Koulibaly. Okay, of course, Koulibaly versus Rudiger is a bit of a toss up, but I just think having lost Rudiger, Koulibaly is probably the best thing that you're going to get in
Yeah.
return. Um, so that was just irritating, and I'm not going to blame Conor Gallagher at all. I think people unfairly slated him as well. I think a double pivot where you are asked sort of to progress the ball a lot, and do a lot of unselfish tackling and kind of self-sacrificing. It's not really his game. He played quite deep there for West Brom in his first loan in the Premier League, and he didn't look comfortable there. He wasn't bad, but he just didn't look comfortable. He's not the kind of player who can put himself about and kind of get stuck in. He's a very positive kind of attacking player. He's got a lot. He's got a lot to offer. You know, but Yeah, look, I'm not averse to seeing Connor playing in the double pivot, but not next to Jorginho. I think he needs to be next to Kovacic because Kovacic is a better tackler, and Connor can be free, sort of to turn the ball over and sort of progress it up the pitch and do what he's good at. Um, but Yeah, I just thought that was really kind of a Tuchel throwing him in at the deep end. But yeah, I think I'd like to move on to talk about your 11 that you chose for Leicester, and I think I would start Mendy as well. I know that I see a couple of comments here, like Viv Dennis saying here that he wouldn't start Mendy. Of course, I think that's a little bit of a controversial topic. Um, Given the fact that I think there was a bit of a compilation going around where it showed Mendy making a couple of mistakes. Of course, there's the infamous one in the first leg of the Champions League quarterfinal last season against Real Madrid, where he essentially made that short pass mistake and gifted Benzema the ball, put pressure on Rudiger. Um, but to me, I think there needed to be a conversation this week to say from the coaching staff to Mendy to say, look, this can't happen again. This is top level football. You can't make that mistake again. You know, I understand that we are a team that likes to pass it out from the back, and we like to start attacks and to start moves right from the goalkeeper, which is fine. I accept that, but there needs to be a situation where in in those kinds of moments where it's the attacker is pressing you and he's within one or two strides of you, you just clear it. Just clear it. Like if you have the chance to make the pass successfully, do it, but just clear it. When in doubt, just clear it. We can always reset from the throw in. But just to concede a goal like that, and you could see the whole team's heads just dropped after that, and we were second best from that moment. I thought for the first 20 minutes we were good, but then after that it was just completely hopeless. Um, and Yeah, so yeah, definitely I would start Mendy. I think it's a good confidence boost as well if you do start him and show a bit of faith in him. because he had an excellent game in the beginning as well. In the first game against Leicester, he made some crucial saves. Even against Spurs, he made one or two couple. He made a one-on-one save as well, I believe, against I think it was against Son or somebody. He made a one-on-one save, which is quite important. So
Yeah,
the goalkeeper is still there.
good.
You know, the quality is still there, but we need to just root out these silly mistakes. Like they can't. Like I understand he's going to make mistakes for the rest of the season. He'll make one or two mistakes, but I'm talking about that kind of mistake where you're literally gifting a goal to the opponent. Don't do that. You know that needs to be that needs to stop. You know that can't happen again. So yeah, Mendy gets my full backing in goal. Um, I hate Reece at right centre back. I really don't like it.
Yeah,
It feels to me like we are asking a Ferrari to pull a tractor
yeah.
in the mud. You know
You
what I mean?
restrict.
It's like it's a total waste. You know, he can do it. He played there in the Champions League final at points, you know, where he was like rotating with Aspi and marking Raheem Sterling. He was quite deep. Like he can do it. You know, he's very, very good at it. But I feel like it doesn't make the most of his attributes. So I would not play him there. As I said, unfortunately, yeah, we have Koulibaly suspended, so we a bit hands tied behind our backs there. So yeah, like you said, I think I like the back three you had. I think Aspi on the right, Silva in the middle, and Trevor playing left centre back. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Tuchel play Kukurea at left centre back and Chilwell at left wing back. Even though I don't think Chile's quite ready to play a full
Yeah,
90, I think I wouldn't be surprised to see that kind of makeup because I think that also gives us a lot of attacking options, and especially against a Leicester team that seems like they can't hit a barn door with a bazooka at the moment. You know, they seem to be a little bit all over the place. So, um, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see that selection, even though I think the better move is to go with that back three of Usby, Silva, and Trevor. I don't know. Trevor seems to me to be treated a bit like Tammy Abraham. Something I don't know what's going on, but he seems not to have been given much faith by Tuchel. I don't know why, but yeah, I think wing backs have to be Reece and one of obviously Chilwell, Kukurea. In the middle, I think I would go like you said, Ruben and Jorginho because Ruben hamstrung. Kovacic is reportedly going to get about 20 minutes, maybe at the end. Um, he's not quite ready to start. And I don't want a situation like where he was starting at the end of last season with a swollen ankle. Like I don't want that to be happening. So I'd rather we just protect him because we need him. So I think introduce him slowly but surely. So I think Ruben and Jorginho, because Ruben's big, he's physical, he can tackle. You know, he can sit deep. He's played central centre back as well. He's got that kind of awareness to and positional discipline to play in the pivot. There, he's a good player. Then I think the front three at the moment picks itself for now. Um, I'd go obviously Sterling, Mountain, and Havertz, but I'd like to see Havertz start at nine, and I want to see Sterling off the left because I know they'll obviously float and rotate quite a lot, but I think Raheem playing as the nine like isolates him too much. You know, like he sort of whenever he receives the ball with his back to goal, he has to turn and he's faced with like a defensive midfielder and like a centre back. So I think it's a bit. I'd like to see him off the left with like Chilwell overlapping and then Kukurea underlapping to create some space for him. And I think this will be the game where Sterling gets his first goal for Chelsea. I can see him cutting inside and curling one around the Leicester defense, and also the fact that I think the fact that I think Fofana's not playing as well in the Leicester defense
yeah.
is a
And
big miss for
Madison is
them.
a dub too.
Yeah, because I think their defense seems to be very all over the place in a sense. Um, so yeah, let's see what comes of this, but. The thing that bothers me as well is that, and I'll wrap up now, is that Leicester haven't won a game yet. And like it or not, I did post a comment here earlier on, um, where I said here, some say Charity FC will make another appearance as Leicester haven't won a game yet. I'm always like a little bit superstitious of these kinds of records where teams come to play Chelsea and they haven't had a successful run for a while, or they haven't won a game in a while, and somehow they come out in their sort of prime performance and find like the best form that they have. You probably find Jamie Vardy dusts off the cobwebs and regenerates his 2015-16 form. Um, so yeah, I'm always wary of that. So I don't know. I'm predicting probably a draw. I don't know why, but I think Chelsea should more than have enough quality. But I think Raheem Sterling will score his first goal on tomorrow. So that's my prediction. But let's see um, what's going on there. So what's your kind of prediction? How do you see the game going? Maybe tactically, where where you think the game will be won and lost? Maybe throw in a score prediction, and everybody in the chat throw in a score prediction.
Yeah. Um, th- I agree with your assessment. I think more or less regarding everything. Uh, and the lineup choice is good, but I am sort of reluctant when it comes to the left center back and left wing back choices, for the sole reason that you said that Tuchel has confirmed that we will take a cautious approach to Chilwell's return from the ACL injury. So I don't know whether he will pull the plug and start him from the and go with him from the start, or will still go with Cucurella and have Aspi and Thiago and Trevor in the back three. Um, so yeah, about the attack, because you made the point, and I agree with the fact that you said that Sterling has played centrally, while you'd like to see Havertz centrally and Sterling more as a sort of left inside forward in the context of our current system. But as far as have seen from the last two games. So besides the Everton game, we have had a more interchangeable attack. So I don't think that we have persisted on the idea of playing Sterling more statically in the center than Havertz playing off the shoulder of him or alongside Mount. So there has been a kind of attacking patterns where Sterling has played more on the wing and Havertz has been more central. But I don't know whether, and I think that that's how it should be, like ideally. But it remains to be seen whether this will give us a substantial choice, a substantial change in the aspect of solving our goal scoring issues. So it may make the attack more interchangeable, but the fact is that we have to score goals, and we will talk about it in the next topic. But I think that we absolutely need to sign a striker between the before 31st of August, uh, for the sole reason that persisting on the same idea over and over again has its own risks. And although Mount, Harvard, Sterling, and maybe even guys on the bench, Pulisic, Ziyech, at their best day, they may be very influential, but we need consistency. And in these three games, I haven't really seen either the sharpness or the consistency in front of goal that we need. Remember the Tottenham game before Reese's second goal. Reese Havertz had a golden opportunity. Like, it was more difficult to miss. It was literally a tap in from the 6 yard box. Reese crossed it from the right, and Havertz um, pushed it wide. While it was more difficult to miss the chance rather than to score. It's only one occasion, but it encapsulates my point very well regarding how misfiring has the attack been, which has been an occurring issue, as I said, from the last season, and now I have seen it again in the previous three games. But in principle, I agree with what you say when it comes to the tactical choice of trying to put Sterling alongside Mount, more or less, and Havertz ahead of them. So I agree with that. Now, something regarding Mendy and the point you made. Uh, we have another problem, because for me the dots are very well connected. Like, it's not that you made the reference to Man City and how they brush these teams aside, and even when they draw points, it's a case of a rarity rather than having such inconsistent games when they show up one weekend, and the other weekend it's a totally different team. It's a case of collective mentality, as we saw City against Newcastle. Yes, they drew, but the fact they uh, made a comeback from 3-1 down to 3-3 inside 4 minutes. They scored 2 goals. This means that they have the mentality to come back even when their initial ideas or the game plan hasn't sticked well enough. While for us, it's too difficult to come back when we go 1-0 down, despite the timing when we are in the game, and this is a very big problem. Like you saw, Mendy made a howler, and of course he has to be cautious of that in order not to do it again, because it's top level football. But in the context, in the wider context, you can see even Alisson or Ederson having made this kind of things, and City's high quality level of attackers, and them being there being numerous sources of goals and creativity, has somewhat hidden a howler or individual mistake that somebody may have made during the course of the game, while we don't have that kind of sharpness, and that's what worries me in the long run. So that's what I want to see. I want to see a team that wants to fight until the end, whether we are up or down at a certain point of the game. So yeah, technically, so that's from a mental point of view, and I'm persisting on this point because I think that it's a mentality problem, and it can't be ignored. Now, regarding tactical choices, I think Leicester will try to, during the absences, based on the absences they have, like Fofana you mentioned, and also Maddison is a dub. Brendan Rodgers confirmed it yesterday. I think they will try to play cautiously, I think, which will be a kind of challenge for our attackers to how to beat the low blocks, and which has been a problem in the first game against Everton, and which was a game when we were literally rescued by the Jorginho penalty. We need that kind of fluidity in order to make sure that their defense is we exploit their defensive fertilities, and hopefully we'll have a good game and good result as well. I don't want to lower the expectations just because of the fact that we have had one win, one draw, and one loss so far, because it's not a case of being pessimistic at this stage of the season in particular. And regarding the final point that you made about playing a team that hasn't won yet, I don't know what's good and what's wrong in this case, because in the alternative scenario, had we played the team on form, we would said that our fixture list isn't favoring us. And now we are saying, why are we playing a team that hasn't won a game yet? So it's better to look after ourselves, to look in the mirror, and then I think it's not a problem whether we face Leicester, who hasn't won a game yet, or let's say Man City or Liverpool, who comprehensively finished ahead of us last season. It's all about building for yourself, and tomorrow I expect nothing less than a comprehensive win and the 3 points, because there is absolutely no better occasion to react rather than tomorrow. Hopefully we find that consistency, both in terms of performance and result. So I want to see that if this is what worries me the most regarding the team, so in the long run, it's a case of trying to build on a positive performance and not show that kind of two-faced teams that we have had even in previous seasons, because it will cost us a lot. And for me, it's the main reason why we have finished around 20 points behind Man City and Liverpool. Of course, they have better depth. They have been following their own projects for a longer time, but we have proved that in 90-minute games we can match them. So why we shouldn't do it against lower level teams to produce the same level of performance? And this is what pushes me to say that it's a kind of mentality problem first and foremost. And then, so this is a perfect opportunity to come back on the right track and hopefully follow it up, follow it up in the other competitions as well, and we and so get on the right track as in the way we need. Hopefully, get through some of the comments in the chat. Mikhail says, "Dan, why Chelsea plays so bad?" It's the reference of the Pep's comments before the Champions
I
League
was gonna
final.
say, I was gonna
Yeah,
reply by saying, that because the two central midfielders no longer close the holding midfielder, they don't
yeah,
push
yeah,
there, they
yeah.
don't push
They
there.
go so wide. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
They no longer go so wide. They don't do
yeah,
that
yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
That's
But
why.
no, I
Um,
think, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Carry on.
it's a good comment by him, Carl. It's a funny one. I just seems to me the problem is, and the one stat that kind of jumps out at me as well is that we took until November the 28th last season to concede 5 Premier League goals, and we've conceded 5 in 3 games.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I thought, and
that to
we
me,
conceded. I think the no, sorry for interrupting, but wanted to specify. I think before that Watford game, which was in 1st of December, I don't recall it well now. We hadn't conceded an open play goal in the Premier League. We had
yeah,
conceded from the penalty spot against Liverpool, conceded from the penalty spot against Southampton when Chilwell tripped Livramento and Ward-Prowse scored. And then we waited until the Watford game when I think Emmanuel Dennis, I think, equalized for them after Mount opened the scoring. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah, go on. I
yeah,
just wanted to specify it. So
yeah. It's just that the thing is like. It seems to me that we've taken from last season, we've retained our poor attack from last season, even though we've invested in Sterling. Okay, he's not been poor. In my opinion, he's been our best attacker, clearly. You know, he's just been starved of service and he's had to do too much by himself. Um, but it seems we've retained the poor attacking structure last season, and now we've lost the defensive structure as well. So it's not like we can defend games, keep clean sheets, and try and nick a goal from a corner or a centre back or a Reece James or whatever. And it seems to me like whatever structure Tuchel had before is no longer as watertight as it used to be. And not only do we no longer retain control of games in terms of leads, I'm talking purely about leads because I thought we played well against Tottenham, and I think we were just unfit and stale against Everton. So that's why we were quite poor then. Um, so I think if we look at the microcosm of our season so far, it's been very contrasting games. I think we got a bit lucky against Everton. We were a bit stale. We managed to keep it tight, and they're a poor team themselves. And I think a better team on that day probably beats us. I know Damari Gray had an opportunity 1-on-1 versus Thiago Silva when Mendy didn't come and made a mistake again. So he that on a with a better team that's 1-0 to Everton. So I think maybe we got a bit lucky then. Tottenham we played very well, but somehow we drew the game. We conceded two very stupid goals because we took our eye off the ball. So that's bad defending again. And then Leeds was a total just a total write off. You know, just everything went completely wrong. And from tactically, Tuchel got it wrong. The players looked undercooked. They looked unfit versus Leeds. So like it's been like a win, a loss, and a draw seems to be a bit. It seems to be fair. I think we should have probably drawn the Everton game, beaten Tottenham, and lost against Leeds. That's probably if you're going to reward each of the performances, that's probably how I would split it. Um, but I think we are where we deserve to be. Um, and Yeah, it's just the thing that I want to see against Leicester is kind of the Chelsea of old. I'm talking Chelsea of like 5, 10 years ago, where you show up, where you're looking sharp, you're looking hungry, you're looking like you want to win, and you expected to win, and you do win. You know, against a team that's in poor form, a team that is. I'm sorry to say this, but is there for the beating. I mean, Leicester as an organization are a little bit all over the place at the moment. They haven't signed anyone. They're lacking money. They seem to not know what they are. You know, whether they want to keep Rodgers around or not. You know, they seem to be like Rodgers seems to be little bit stale at the moment. Like he has kind of an expiration date, and this happened at Liverpool as well. Kind of like third or fourth season syndrome, where he kind of runs out of steam. He seems to be in that phase as well. So I think Leicester there for the taking, and I want to see Chelsea take the bull by the horns and go for it. And as I say, to me, the willing the willingness of like a player like Raheem Sterling to sort of take ownership. He's a winner, and I think we need players like Mason and Kai and Connor and all of that to take after that, to kind of adopt this attitude, a little bit of positive arrogance. Like we know we're kind of better than you, so let's prove it. Let's show it. Let's play like it. But also like from a from an attacking positivity standpoint, there's no excuse for us now not to play more positively in attack, given that our defense is all over the place. I don't see why we can't. If we're so poor in transition, why can't we just, sort of play more forward passes? Why can't Jorginho get his head up? Once Ruben beats two or three players, why can't he put a slide rule pass through Havertz? Because there was statistics going around there online where Havertz had made the most off the ball runs of anyone in the Premier League by a long way. Why is no one picking him out? Yeah, okay, maybe it might not tell us the actual quality of his off the ball runs, whether it's targeted or not. But I want to see more positivity there. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet again. Uh, I think we might concede a goal. So why can't we just sort of remove the handbrake and see what happens? I don't see what we have to lose. Um, but yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. I think we can move on just now after you give your thoughts to perhaps
Yeah,
talking about the transfers. But yeah, just maybe round that up
yeah,
and let's see
uh,
a couple of the comments,
yeah,
and then we can move on from there.
yeah. Uh, uh, the only issue I have with your comment you made about us removing the handbrakes is that it's it's too adventurous to try that in the Premier League, and it's not because we aren't in a position that we have nothing to lose. So it's not a case of us having to experiment because tomorrow is the fourth game week of the season. So of course new additions were made in from a defensive point of view. If you include uh, Cucurella as in the list of defenders as a profile of player, and also Koulibaly who came. So it's normal from foreign imports, especially I'm talking in Koulibaly's case, who have played for 8 years in a maybe more rigid but way less intense league than the Premier League, to have a bit of difficulties at the beginning in order to adapt to the pace of the league. And this is very obvious, especially when you have attacking players that want to take him on, and he, especially against Leeds in particular, I see he was one time behind, which led to the two yellow cards, which were taken in an almost identical manner, which shows my point that he hasn't yet fully adapted to the pace of the league. But basing on my static opinion on him and on Cucurella, they have been two signings that I really wanted to come here amid a myriad of other players that didn't seem much convincing in my eyes, including the league, including uh, I don't know, so other names that were mentioned for our even for Kunde, I had my reservation. So it's a case of allowing them the time to fully adapt, but at the same time not lowering the standard. So that's my point, and that's why I sort of arguing your point that you say that we have to be more adventurous and try to attack just with the idea at the back of our heads that the defensive structure isn't the same as last year, because I think it doesn't help the team in the long run if we sacrifice the cautiousness, the not excessive cautiousness, but the right level of cautiousness needed to win games in the Premier League, where the standards of the league are getting higher and higher. So that's my last opinions on the game, and hopefully we'll have a great performance, win, and why not a clean sheet? It may sound a bit optimistic considering the last game against Leeds, but hopefully we are on the right track and have a great game tomorrow. Going through some of the comments in the chat before going to the next topic, Abhinav said we might have a draw, but Kova and Broya is back. They have Fofana missing, and we don't have Koulibaly tomorrow. He's suspended. Kova is back in the 20 minutes for the last 20 minutes. I think Broya won't start. He came back from
He should start.
his injury. Sorry?
He should start. Broya should start.
Yeah, but realistically
Something
speaking,
different.
I realistically speaking, I don't really expect Tuchel to change much, and my only change that I see him doing is maybe playing Pulisic instead of Havertz, but I don't
No.
see.
Please don't do that.
No, I'm not in favor of that, but I think
Yeah, I don't want that to happen.
after 3 games when we have had the misfiring attack, it may be a kind of choice based on what I think that Tuchel may do rather than what I want to happen. If you ask me, basing of this kind of form, I don't want to sound harsh, but none of our current attackers have totally convinced me. If we want to make the discussion more general, so we don't have a Reece James equivalent in attack.
I think Raheem Sterling is that equivalent.
I'm excluding Raheem from the discussion because he has just joined. I'm referring to the guys that have already been here and we have overwatched them.
Yeah,
So
100%.
and I totally agree with you when you say that he was, because he had the dynamism that no one of them has. He isn't afraid to take people on.
Look at what he did against Leeds. Those 2 opportunities he had. One he put in the net,
And
he was
scored
offside. The other one, it was a little bit wide.
Yeah, that's
Literally
exactly.
literally the same movement. Literally
Yeah,
the same movement. And that's the quality we've been missing in attack for the last 2 years.
Yes, but
we have nobody else who will do that. No one else will do that.
Exactly. That's why I'm thinking that Tuchel may just try something different based on what he has seen, rather than seeing it as an ideal choice. So Havertz has been passive, except the Tottenham game. Like, you need to see more kind of energy, more kind of inclination to win second duels, to win second balls, to keep the width, to join the attack, to be clinical, because he's a tall player. And maybe his kind of approach, that he is very composed on the ball, works very well when he's at his best, especially in European games when teams don't play that physically. But in England, you have to fight for the ball. We had Gianfranco Zola, who was quite a short player, but he was strong. And Kai is a tall player, and you see him so much shy away from the challenges. You can't do that in the Premier League. And that's why I'm thinking that Tuchel might make a sort of change just to try something different in the attack, because we have been too stale. Even in the Tottenham game, we were rescued from Marie's goal in the set piece. And this season, we may love Mount, Havertz, some may love Pulisic, and also, so they are our players at the end of the day. And I'm against any kind of abuse. But the fact is that we need Reece James equivalents in attack, and I hope Raheem becomes. For this reason, I excluded Raheem because he has just joined. But it's clear that his dynamism, despite the doubts that I and other people may have in the fan base, he has been more dynamic. I don't see the dynamism from Havertz, and I haven't seen the dynamism from Mount in these games either. So this has to change. That's my whole point. Yeah, I think that it's a case of being another alternative. If you ask me, I would even give Broya a chance, but Tuchel sees them in the training session, so I see more an opportunity for Pulisic starting rather than Broya, based on realistic ideas of the manager. So, but let's see. You are two of you, but why not giving chance to each other?
I don't know what he's talking
Why are
about.
you not you? We are discussing.
But yeah, long term, I think Broya will get his chances this season. There's plenty of other games for him to play. I think he'll rotate a bit. I'd like to see him get given a chance. I know he only got 6 goals in the league last season, but that was as a teenager. And I'd like to see him like maybe players like if Aubameyang comes or whatever, players like the second striker and rotate in like maybe the Champions League game. But I want him to see I want him to get meaningful minutes, not like 5 minutes at the end of a game. I wanted to see him
Yeah,
give him 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Start him in all the cup games in the Carabao Cup. Start him in FA Cup game. Start him in a game against Bournemouth. You know what I mean? Obviously, if he's doing the business on the training pitch, but yeah, look, perhaps we can move on to the transfer discussion because
yeah,
the five main uh, topics of discussion, I think, at the moment in the Chelsea sphere are on the screen here. We've of course got
yeah,
Wesley Fofana from Leicester, the center right, the person we're looking at for right center back. Rafael from Milan, who's looking probably left wing slash right wing. Aubameyang, at number 9. Anthony Gordon, left wing slash right wing slash right wing back. Then of course Frenkie De Jong, someone to take place in our midfield as a six. So maybe we can go through briefly, uh, give your thoughts on each of them, maybe a yes or a no if you think it's going to happen, and maybe give your thoughts on whether you'd want it to happen. Maybe we can chat a little bit around the news of each of them. I know this is not necessarily a site that one can trust, but I would like to share something on the screen with respect to a tweet that was put out about I think it was Wesley Fofana. It's not from a reputable source, but I just found it quite funny to entertain the idea. So I'm going to share the screen and we can have a look at this. So just give me a second. Here we go. Share screen. Yeah. So window or Chrome tab. Yeah. Where is it? Here we go. Okay. You should be able to see that now. Yeah. So you can see here. So it says Leicester are expecting a fourth bid from Chelsea to be just shy of 80 million, excluding add-ons for Wesley Fofana. Understand LCFC want the add-ons to push the potential deal to over 90 million pounds, and then they would sanction the deal. What do you guys think of Leicester City asking 90 million pounds for Wesley Fofana? Hey? What do you think of that? What's your immediate impression of that? I'm as I say, this is not a reputable source, but even I wanted to bring this up as a discussion point simply for the idea.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
the
yeah.
idea of paying 90 million pounds
You,
for Wesley Fofana.
you
So
did very well.
what's your immediate thought on that?
Yeah, it's crazy. And if you ask me, even 80 million is crazy. So
Yeah,
it's not a case of me being on the fence and now I'm leaning towards a no because of the 90 million. Even 80 million, it's a no for me. And so because you started it with this tweet, I'm talking about my opinion on Fofana. Yes, he's a young centre back who has the potential. Played in the FA Cup final against us and has been very influential for Leicester before, even especially in the period before he broke his leg in the friendly against Villarreal 1 year ago. But the problem is that I'm not totally sold on this deal for some other reasons that also have to do with this of the pitch attitude. Like I will have people come at me. I have had debates with people on Twitter, constructive debates, of course, but still without trying to go through his qualities as a defender, because I have seen that he has many attributes that make you pay big money for him, and he is a very good ground tackler. He is composed on the ball, and also he has a leadership nature when he can dictate the play from deep, and this is another big plus. However, I can't find peace with myself regarding the fact that he has forced very strongly a move from both of his previous clubs, so from Saint Etienne to Leicester, and now he's trying to do the same from Leicester to go to us. From a sort of Chelsea point of view, so from a fan point of view, from a one-sided point of view, it's the best thing he could do because he's showing his intent to come to us. However, what would guarantee us that he won't do the same in 2 years' time when he comes here? And that's the problem. Like, of course, someone may argue that we are in the pinnacle of European and world football. We just won the Club World Cup, won the Champions League last season. So a player can't practically demand more than that, despite the inconsistencies in terms of shape in one period of another. However, it disturbs me that he renews the contract with the club, signs a long-term contract, 6 years actually, till March 2027, and 3 months later he regrets and wants to go, and then pushes for a move very violently in the metaphoric sense, but he is doing it with the Instagram activity, with social media, which is something that I don't really like to see from a player because it adds unnecessary fuel to the fire. I'd rather hand in a transfer request and let the club decide. I have made my intention clear, like Cucurella did at Brighton. He handed in the transfer request, and then it was all that. No social media activity, no noise, no additional stuff that would make people even more tense. And on top of that, the price is, as you
It's too high.
mentioned, is stupid. Like, it's, I know that Premier League especially is a very good indicator of the transfer market nowadays, when it is self-dictating in terms of finances rather than the clubs putting prices to the players. So, for example, when you sign Cucurella for 55 million pounds as a base fee, for me this is normal in modern circumstances, because he was Brighton's player of the year, and you can't really get cheaper than that. It's a kind of go big or go home approach. But this is more
Yeah.
than that. This is excessive from Fofana. And if we get him, I hope we get him now, because we don't have any opportunity to think of it. There are the 5 days of the window, and he has. Don't get me wrong, he has many attributes. However, I really hope that we don't break that world record fee for
Same.
the
I have the
defense.
same. I
Yeah,
have exactly the
because
same view.
one thing is to be, for a player to be expensive, because everyone is expensive today if you are quality, and something completely different is being the most expensive defender of all time, especially considering his attitude on the pitch, where he is too connected with social media. Everyone is nowadays, but I think he has something even more than that, and that's what disturbs me. And the media will always haunt him if he makes the slightest of mistakes, if he becomes the world record defender. So, in my opinion, I am very fine with the reports last year from reputable sources that we are sending an offer, a final, maybe final offer of 70 million pounds. I don't know whether it is at once included or not, but I really hope that we get him for less than 80 million pounds. And
Yeah.
people won't get me now, and I totally respect people's opinion that desperately want him for any price. It's their opinion. However, I think that it wouldn't be the right idea signing him for a world record fee, because now he maybe can't see it, but when he makes the slightest of mistake, the medias will be after him, and this will do no good, both on him and also on the club. So that's my opinion of Fofana. So what do you think before going to another target?
Yeah. As I say, like I have no interest in Chelsea paying a world record fee for Wesley Fofana, principally because I don't think he's worth it. First of all, and second of all, I don't want the pressure, like you say, of him having that tag. I mean, look at what it does to Harry Maguire. You know,
Mm.
he has the knowledge. Harry Maguire is not worth 80 million pounds. He's just not. Manchester United captain or not. Virgil van Dijk, you can make an argument for 75 million. I mean, given his impact and what he's done at Liverpool, you can say, okay, fair enough. Maguire, has he justified 80 million? That's up for debate. Maybe in some instances, you could argue perhaps. But most of all, I think it would be unequivocal from most Man United fans to say, no, he's not worth 80 million pounds. And I can guarantee you that Wesley Fofana is nowhere near with Virgil van Dijk's level. Nowhere near. He's a lot younger. So that's what you're paying for if you're spending 80 million. Is you're paying for potential. But Wesley Fofana is nowhere near the level of Virgil van Dijk. And also, to me, if you buy an 80 million pound player, that player not only has to automatically improve the way that you're starting 11, but they also have to revolutionize the way that you play in such a way that it justifies such a huge price. And to me, Wesley Fofana does not do that. He doesn't. He's a very good player, very good tackler, as you say, very good defensive centre back. You know, could slot in on the right centre back perfectly. He's got question marks to me with respect to progressing the ball. He's not somebody who naturally likes to do that. He's a little bit more conservative. That's what I've noticed of him when I've watched him. Um, but I think perhaps you could justify maybe spending that fee on him because of the fact that it then for sure unlocks Reece James to play right wing back permanently, in the sense that he never has to play right centre back. But I'm also in the back of my mind, I have Trevor Chalobah because yes, Trevor Chalobah may not necessarily be as polished as Wesley Fofana, maybe not quite as good at right centre back. But I'm asking myself the question: Is Wesley Fofana that much better than Trevor Chalobah that I need to justify spending 80 or 80 plus million on this player? No, he's not. I think Wesley Fofana is better than Trevor Chalobah, but not 80 million pounds better. You know what I mean? I'm perfectly happy to have Trevor Chalobah as my starting right centre back for the season instead of spending a world record fee on Wesley Fofana. I'm happy for Chalobah to play the whole season and rotate with Usby at right centre back. Will he be as good? No. Um, can he probably be as good? I think so. I think he certainly had some games for Chelsea at right centre back where he showed his quality. Um, he started the I believe it was the FA Cup final cold and he wasn't expecting to start, and he started and gave a really good performance. Didn't really put a foot wrong. Marked Luis Diaz well the whole game. Um, so I certainly don't see any harm in playing Trevor Chalobah. Um, and I would rather see that 80 million pounds invested in somewhere where we need somebody like in central midfield, like on a defensive midfield or something. I think that's a far more intelligent way to spend the money. Um, so look, I will justify getting Fofana for less than 80 million, whatever less that is. If it's 79 million, fine. But as soon as you start touching 80 and going over, that's where I lose interest entirely. So that's kind of my view on it. I think I'm echoing what you said. Do you want to move on to someone like Aubameyang? Because we've got, you know,
Yeah.
we've got this kind of we've got these players. We can circle back to. I think Anthony Gordon might be a bit of a divisive figure, so I think we can leave him to last. Let's talk maybe about Aubameyang, De Jong, and Leao. I think De Jong and Leao will be a lot quicker because they look like they're not really going to happen. But where do you
Yeah.
stand on Aubameyang?
Um, it's a very intriguing situation with him. Uh, when rumors came up at the beginning, I raised my eyebrow in the sense that I had my doubts. However, after I thought the 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 possibility, the prospect of signing him, uh, I have come to the conclusion that for me it's a yes. Uh, and there are several reasons for that. First of all, he's a player on form. I don't know why people act as if is a finished product and we are trying an attacker out of total desperation. He has scored 11 goals in 17 games for Barcelona, if I'm not wrong. Okay, Spanish league is less intense, less physical, less demanding. We all know that. But still, there are good stats for a player that everyone is trying to rule out just because of the age. That's what you can have doubts, and I'm totally conscious with myself that at the very best he will be a stopgap. We'll need a striker again next summer or in January or whenever the transfer window will be for in terms of signing somebody in the long run. But considering that the football is evolving from number nines, from static number nines, and most importantly, Thomas Tuchel likes to play with a very mobile attacking uh, attacking line rather than having a static man up front. It's nice to get somebody whom he knows very well, who has had crazy stats under him. Some may argue that they were quite a while ago, so 5 or 6 years ago, and I totally get that. However, he's a player that knows Premier League environment. He has a great professional and personal relationship with Tuchel. Uh, isn't a static nine, which I have seen from people on Twitter adopting, saying we had Lukaku, why we offloaded Lukaku, where we are getting a static. He's not static. If we see at FBref his precious stats, there is the green line there, which I don't remember the figures very well, but it shows. And also the eye test proves that he isn't a static striker. He is a mobile striker. He may need a creator behind him in the ideal sense, but still he isn't somebody that it's only a poacher in the box. That's how I see it. However, the negatives are there in principle because I want to be as balanced as possible. One of them is the fact that he is a speed reliant player, and speed reliant attackers lose a bit of their capability to be influential when they reach mid 30s, so around his age. He hasn't really done this yet because he's on form, as I said. I don't know why people are arguing this. He had a difficult season at Arsenal, but also um, other factors affected the situation, including his relationship with Arteta. But on a footballing sense, he has still to give. And these are my doubts. The only doubt I have, so my doubts I have is one is attitude, which I hope that will be fine if he comes during his relationship with Tuchel. And second is that he is a speed reliant player, and I hope that his speed will be at the highest potential in England. Um, However, there are positives. As I mentioned, he knows where the back of the net is. He's mobile, unlike Lukaku, as I said, has worked with Tuchel, knows Premier League environment. And in reference to good omens, players that we sign, so ex-Arsenal players that come here leave the mark in general. So I hope that if Aubameyang comes, has the same um, gets the same cult hero status as Fabregas, Giroud, or even higher as Ashley Cole, and this is what I really want to see. For me, it's not a black and white situation like people are saying. Like some expect the world from him, and realistically say that this is a panic buy. For me, it's not a panic buy. It's not the perfect signing that we may make this window, and in the context of the striker market being a bit shallow. However, there are many positives that we can get from this deal, and for me, it's a yes. The discussion remains on the price, and that's where I really have to make a sort of compromise. I don't think 30 million euros is a reasonable price tag. I think Barcelona are trying to be opportunistic, and at the same time, we are trying to be opportunistic due to their situation. Remains to be seen now that reputable sources are saying that they have registered Jules Koundé, and I don't know how this would affect the situation. But despite the price, I hope that we get him. Ideally, I hope that we get it in a on a discount. Maybe I would pay 20 million pounds for him. I wouldn't go as 26 or 27, but 20 million pounds as a base fee is good for a player that Thomas Tuchel knows well and could provide us another dimension in attack. Would it be a solution in the long run? I don't think so, but would he be another kind of profile to have? Yes, because for me it's low risk, high reward potential. So for me, Aubameyang is a yes, and I hope it materializes.
Very good, Chad. I think you hit the nail on the head there. The only thing that worries me necessarily about this is Tuchel is like kind of flipping the lid and going a lot for very much for experience and like older players, you know, because like obviously went for Koulibaly is 31, Aubameyang 33, Sterling, yes, he's young, 27, so he's kind of not the same. But like Silva 38, a lot of a lot of this is being a little bit it's just on that kind of I'm not being ageist, but it's just kind of like experience over kind of youth is worrying me a little bit because I mean look at it this way, like Broya is just like 20, and then you're signing a 33-year-old who's kind of in his way, and I think Aubameyang, yes, he's doing very well in Spain, but I don't know the pace of the Premier League. Is he really at it? Like his last season and a half at Arsenal were kind of underwhelming, so I don't know. um I don't know how I feel about it too much. I think I would welcome him for the fact that I think he is a former Tuchel player and he works well um, with Tuchel himself. So I don't think that it's necessarily a bad move. But like you said, I think keep the cost down, maybe 20 million, and that's about it. It's interesting some of the comments that are coming out. I saw Mail Sport quoting that Tuchel said we may not even sign anyone for the remainder of the window. So that's just something to necessarily think about. Um, you know, so yeah, I don't know. I think for the variation that Aubameyang could offer, like the dovetailing with Sterling, with like a Havertz or a Mount or something, I think is pretty good. Um, you know what I mean? But anyway, let's talk. Let's talk. Like I think we can group these two players in De Jong and Leao. Um, so what do you think of, like, first of all, De Jong seems to be like he's done this tete-a-tete with Barcelona for the whole summer. It's kind of like, is he staying, is he going? Now he seems to be taking a pay cut to stay, which is just kind of beyond me. Barca seem to owe him like 19 million euros, and now he's gonna like take it even like he's doing them a huge favor, and somehow he wants to stay. I guess it's kind of his dream club, but like they're doing to him what they did. Um, what they did to uh, PK, to all these other players at Barcelona, kind of just using what's happened to them against them. Like it's not the players' fault how poorly Barcelona's been run, but now somehow they're the ones who are suffering. So anyway, it is what it is. Um, but yeah, so what do you think of Leao? Leao, I think I've watched him briefly. He's very strong, physical, uh, decent, very direct, good dribbler. I think he'd fit in well in the Premier League, but the price is ridiculous. So I think it'd be like 100 million euros or something to even get AC Milan to start talking. So, what do you think of Leao, De Jong? Do you like any of these moves? Do you think they're possible? Where's your head at?
Uh, I so neither will come. I think this is something that we already know. I had uh, got the impression that De Jong would stay at Barcelona even when the rumors were trying to intensify. Where so the journalists were trying to seem that we had agreed something with Barcelona and we were waiting for him, but it was never the case of him coming here. I don't really know why people were so desperate. I totally understood that he wasn't coming. However, in principle, I think he's a good player to have. De Jong, he has an eye for vertical passes, can play balls through the channel, and maybe give from a midfield, something that we don't have. However, he isn't the number 6 Jorginho replacement because he is too indisciplined from a defensive point of view. So uh, if he could come here, I think the only possibility of deployment would be as a Kovacic deputy rather than Jorginho. So that's my only opinion on the matter, because I know it won't materialize, and that's that. I think he will end up renewing or doing something that has, so ultimately will stay at Barcelona. Uh, Same as Leao, I don't know whether it was that um, article from I think it was uh, John Percy from the Telegraph and Duncan Castles, which and Tom Roddy, I think, from the Times, which published the article and said that um, um, we are interested in Leao. News seemed serious, but I don't see an opportunity of materializing him, both in terms of the price and also considering how thin Milan are in terms of quality players in attack. They have an aging attack, excluding Rebic and Leao. You have Giroud, you have Ibrahimovic still there. So there was no logical indication that implied a sort of will from Milan to sell him, especially in this so late in the window. So for me, De Jong and Leao are two names that maybe will be discussed more in depth in the upcoming transfer windows rather than now. So that's the only opinion I have on them, because I'm convinced that no one will, so neither of them will come. Uh, about Anthony Gordon now, I have expressed myself very clearly on this. It seems like a random transfer. He has the talent, he's very hardworking, runs his socks off for the team, and no one, I think, should argue that, because he's a player that can provide a dimension of energy, of um, sort of dynamism on and off the ball. Uh, Provide is a sort of example compared to the young players in the modern football, when they have that sense of negative arrogance and individualism. He's more of a team player, at least as far as we have seen. However, the price is extremely excessive. Like, if we say for Fofana that 80 million is exaggerated, for Gordon 60 million is even more. And although he's a good player, he lacks end product. And now we want wise spending above everything else, considering that it has been one of those trades that we have criticized when the previous ownership was in place, that we spent a lot but without a clear plan and without studying in detail the profiles that we chased. And I feel that Anthony Gordon would be a sort of signing that would resemble more the previous ownership rather than the current one, considering that what we have had. So for me, especially for that price, Gordon is a no, and I doubt whether we will go for him again. Yeah, Glenn says in the comment it's raw. I think he is referring to Gordon, and I
Yeah,
totally agree with that. The best word is this, like, he's raw, and for a
I
raw
think
player you can't pay
he's also
more than
referring
60 million pounds.
he's also
So the
referring to
only
this
Gordon
comment.
that likes is Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, we'll have a debate about MasterChef, but maybe another moment. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's that's the opinion of him. He's a random transfer. If it materializes, which I highly doubt, because Everton are being reluctant, and ironically, I think we are fortunate to see that Everton are being reluctant. So yeah, I think that before the end of the window, all in all, because we have gone through the names. I think we absolutely need at least a right centre back and an attacker to come. You made the point that you want to see Chalobah stay, which is absolutely reasonable considering Leicester's demands for Fofana, but I doubt whether we will have he will have the ability to be a consistent player in every game for us, because we play in 4 competitions. World Cup is in between, so the circumstances indicate that for me we need another centre back. Whether we will move from somebody else if Leicester don't sign Fofana, and there have been some kind of sporadic rumors that Adam Webster from Brighton is an alternative, which is doubtful as well, because I don't think that Brighton would be eager to sell him for any price at this stage of the window. But in principle, I think we need the right centre back and an attacker minimum. We absolutely need a midfielder, but I don't think that, based on Tuchel's comments, we'll go for a midfielder at this stage of the window. So hopefully Fofana materializes for less than £80 million, and I stress this because for me it's very important. And Aubameyang also materializes. So that's my point on the transfer window, on what I minimally expect in these last 5 days of the window. Reading some of the comments before moving to the last topic, which is the Champions League draw. Mikhail says, honestly, my dream end is a bunch of creative midfielders that can play through the middle of the pitch in addition to our wing backs. We all dream that. I don't know whether we'll find. I wanted Jack Grealish before to come here, and I still persist on my idea that in our system he would do very well, because his weight of pass and ability to assist from different angles, especially at Villa, would be very beneficial for us. No concrete name now. Wait for World Cup, then spend after. Would rupture our season plans, because Premier League's run is so hectic, and there is no place to make many mistakes. And if we wait for World Cup with a shallow squad, I think that we may lack the opportunity to capitalize on others' mistakes too. CFC fames, and my only hope is Chelsea working his styles in the midfield, but I'm not confident about it. Hopefully, but I'm not confident either. Tuchel said after Leeds game that we won't sign, or at least we aren't expected to sign another midfielder, so I don't expect another one either. Should have signed one last year instead of getting Saul on loan, but that's another discussion.
Tuchel said Tchouaméni wasn't ready.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I don't think we haven't been really clarified, without trying to defend Tuchel, whether it was ultimately his decision or Marina Scott McLelson one, and he just gave the approval that we shouldn't have pulled the plug on Tchouaméni, because that's how it was given to us at the time. But Glenn says sub-competition for Havertz, not liking his energy of late. What I said before, I totally agree with that. Needs to know that Champions League goal isn't a guarantee that he stays. I agree 100%, without trying to be harsh, without trying to be disrespectful or non-appreciative for what he has done. But you can't take place for granted in the team, and no one is undroppable at our club, or shouldn't be, because the competition is there, and the nature of the league forces you to deserve your place rather than to take it for granted. So totally agree with the comment. Okay, so before moving on to other comments and having another discussion, Mekal saying panic spending is exactly how we landed Lukaku. Yeah, that's panic spending, if you ask me, and not well studied. I don't think whether it is in reference to Aubameyang or not. For me, Aubameyang, as I said before, isn't panic signing, because he would be a stopgap, and in the worst case, he would leave. So it's not. I don't see any reason to draw parallels with Lukaku. Okay, so moving on to the last topic, the Champions League group stage draw. We'll also talk shortly about the Carabao Cup third round draw. Again, we drew City away, but about the group stage draw, I think some interesting games there to to talk about. Yeah, here's a draw. We are Group A E. Milan, Chelsea, Salzburg, and Dinamo Zagreb. Um, Giving my opinion on that, I'm so in general, and also knowing the fact that European football has many unpredictabilities, I don't want to underestimate any team. Salzburg and Dinamo Zagreb are two teams that are very well known and illustrious for their excellent academies. I think Salzburg has won the UEFA Youth League before some years. I don't know whether Zagreb has won, but I know that they have participated in the later stages of the competition. So which is an indicator that they are good at producing talents. And Milan also is another kind of challenge. It's interesting to see three teams all in all that I have never seen us play against in an official game. So we faced Salzburg in the preseason 2009 when Pedro scored that fantastic
volley, yeah,
goal. So
the flick, yeah,
with his heel, so it was the cross from Barkley
yeah,
and
from Barkley, yeah.
the keeper. So that's the only memory of it. It will be interesting to see some familiar faces like Giroud and Tomori coming back at Stamford Bridge, and Thiago Silva also facing his former club in Milan. Mateo Kovacic is going back to where he started his career at
That's
Dinamo
Zagreb,
Zagreb.
yeah.
So, and even Tuchel joked today in a press conference saying that we should rush to find tickets to Zagreb because Mateo's family will have got all of them. So this is a yeah. So that's so for me it's a very intriguing group. Also considering, as I said, the teams that we have are drawn against games that we haven't really watched us play in the in official games. Glenn says Salzburg is a tricky one. To be fair, I get his point, as I said, because they have good academies and good systems of developing young teams. So it's they have that striker Benjamin Sesko is moving to Leipzig up front, which was tricky against Liverpool in the preseason friendly. They won 1-0 and he scored a goal. But still, without trying to sound flamboyant, I think that we should top the group. It's not the maybe the most favorable draw of all, but still it could have been much worse in terms of the fact that also we were in pot two and could have drawn Real, Bayern, or PSG in the pot one without trying to sound to make them seem more intimidating than most, because um, in our day we have proved that we can beat everyone. However, we should be comfortable in that group, not complacent, because it's another problem. But I think there are some good games to have, and hopefully we perform. And it will be also a good experience from people who can attend the games. Very beautiful cities and opportunities to watch Chelsea live. So it's a very intriguing group, and hopefully we will excel there. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, if I may give my thoughts here, I just want to give a brief thought on Anthony Gordon as well, because I didn't really manage to speak
Yeah.
about it. I was checking the comments. So yeah, I'm not interested in Anthony Gordon at all. I did read an insightful post by CFC Central, who did an analysis of him and some clips and things like that. He looks like a very good kind of defensive winger, but I think that's dangerous because it's taking us in the wrong direction. And I think like Tuchel seems to be like defensively minded first, and I think for our attack, it's going to stymie and stifle our attack. I don't think his final product is very good at all. I think he's raw, and I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that move at all. Like I don't like him as a player. I don't think he's Chelsea quality. I think he has many good attributes, but he's just not Chelsea level. And it's the kind of weird signing that Chelsea gets stuck with. Like it's just a young player that I, I don't know. I just don't. And I don't think he's better than Callum. Like if we're gonna let Callum go on loan, why? For what? You know what I mean? It's silly. So like I just wanted to say I have no interest in that move. Look, if he comes, I'll support him. But yeah, Honestly, I have no idea. Especially for £60 million is, I think that's more ridiculous to me than spending 120 million on Declan Rice. I think spending 60 million on Anthony Gordon, I think it's even more ridiculous than spending 150 million on Declan Rice. I think it's more ridiculous to me than that. So I have no interest in that move, and I hope it doesn't happen. But yeah, Glenn with some good comments here. To me, in this Champions League group, that's the easiest group that Chelsea could possibly have gotten. The only thing I think you could have swapped out from here was Milan for was Frankfurt, Eintracht Frankfurt for AC Milan. I think that would have made this the easiest group. I think Chelsea have literally tripped and fallen into the easiest possible group they could get because none of the teams in that group are on Chelsea's level, even Milan. Yes, they're the champions of Italy, but they can't hold a candle to Chelsea's team, especially in the last couple of years in Europe. And that's my honest truth. And I've said this to on group chats, and I'll say this on here. Chelsea should be walking away from this group with no fewer than 14 points. No fewer than 14 points. They should beat Salzburg and Zagreb home and away and draw with Milan twice. I think they should go through this group undefeated. Whether it's going to happen, I don't know. But that's what I'm saying. My opinion is as things stand. Salzburg, very good. They press very well. They've got a good style. But they're sort of that team should be able to be handled by Chelsea. We should be able to handle them. And Zagreb, I think, is one of the weaker teams in Pot Four. I think that's a team that yes, there'll be like sentiment with Kovacic and all that. But and these trips, I know there's a lot of Premier League games to play in and around these ties, like 2-3 games a week. But I mean, Chelsea's squad is enormous at the moment. Like it's really big, you know. So it should be enough to handle that. So as I say, I'm expecting Chelsea to top the group. There aren't any easy games in the Champions League, and you can't take opposition for granted. But realistically, Chelsea can beat every one of those teams twice, including Milan. So whether it will happen, I don't think so. I think Milan will probably beat us in Italy. I can see a defeat coming somewhere, but yeah, I think Chelsea should top the group. And I honestly, I won't accept anything else. Like I don't think that. I think it'll be a failure if we come second in that group. So that's my opinion. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. I think we should, as you think I may as I think you may have mentioned as well. We need to focus on ourselves in the Champions League. You can only really beat what's put in front of you, and seemingly there's no real advantage, I suppose, of finishing first or second these days. But I still would like the confidence of finishing first, because last season I was irritated by the fact that we finished second, because we
Although
bottled it.
we got it more favorable than
Yeah,
Juventus.
we
We
got
got
a
the
more
impact of
favorable.
Real.
Yeah, we did get a more favorable draw. I think we got lucky as well, um, in that sense, because we could have got some really nasty teams like Bayern or PSG or
Real.
whoever, and or Real, yeah, and we dodged all of them. So that was just luck. And like the thing is, you're more than likely to go through to the quarterfinals if you face a second place team than you do the first place team, because they come second for a reason. So that's my opinion, and this is something I've stuck to with Champions League since I started watching it. So, um, I think I'll stick to that. But yeah, I think was there anything else you necessarily wanted to
Yeah,
talk about on this team?
just a short comment on the Carabao Cup third round draw. Like we are drawn maybe on paper against the most difficult possible game, like against City away. Uh, and I wanted to see how people think regarding a kind of draw. Would you ideally want the other extreme, like maybe a team in the League Two or League One, and have an opportunity for youngsters to play, or you are with the mentality that this is a competition where if we beat City, we have to win. So let's go against the strongest of them, and then see what comes up next. So it's intriguing to see. So what's your opinion on that? Because I'm always confident on that in our day we can be very good. So I don't want to overreact. Also for the reason that we'll play City quite late in the league. in the League Cup, because it's a weekend commencing from 7th November rather than the usual timing that when the League Cup third round is played, so in the end of September. So much could have happened till then. We should see the physical state of the team. It's nearly before the World Cup, and there are things that we have to take into consideration that surround the game. So, what do you think of the draw, and what do you expect?
I'm overjoyed at this draw. I'm very, very happy we got Man City because it means we can lose in that round and forget about that tournament.
Why
I
not?
have no, I have no interest in winning the Energy Drink Cup. Don't care. Like I don't care. Like that it's a Mickey Mouse tournament that I think should get the English football should get rid of. It's just unnecessary fixtures. We should only have FA Cup, Champions League, and Premier League. Forget this Energy Drink Cup. If we get knocked out in that round, and I know this is probably an anti-competitive mindset, because people naively say we need to be in every tournament, we need to take every tournament. I think that's stupid. Because the thing is, the priority for Chelsea is, to me, because we've lost the FA Cup each of the last 3 years, so I think that
Yeah.
should be a priority.
Don't
I
don't,
don't care.
don't play down
Like
FA Cup, please.
no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just saying
I'm joking.
I
I'm joking.
don't care about this Carabao Cup, and I'm not going to care about it. Yes, it was Jose Mourinho's first trophy, won it a few times. Great. Let Spurs win it, and they can shout about it. Like I don't care, right? So the sooner we get knocked out of that tournament, the better. Like just play all the children in that game against Man City. Like pick someone from the under eights, give him a game. Like let him play. Great. Let him
See.
little run around. His parents can be overjoyed that he played for Chelsea. Great. Fantastic. Let's get knocked out. Then we can focus on the FA Cup, the Champions League, and the Premier League, the competitions that actually matter. Because I think a priority for us this season should be to win the FA Cup and get over that hoodoo. You know what I mean? Because we've lost three finals in a row. I want to get to the final again and win against whoever it is. Like if we have to play Man City and Liverpool like Liverpool in the semis, Man City in the final, Man United in the quarters, Arsenal in round five. If we have to play everyone all the way to I don't care. I want to win the FA Cup this season because I want to get over that. Mason and I want Mason Mount to score the winner
Same,
because he.
same, same. I totally get it,
So
and it
I'm
has
sorry.
become for me this sort of challenge. Like, why don't we win the FA Cup? Like, even when the FA Cup is mentioned for a completely different reason, it comes to at the back of my mind the same logical argument that you use. Like, it's kind of regret that you have. Like, how on earth have we lost three finals in a row? And so I totally get your point. But you had people saying that Carabao is another opportunity for us winning a trophy. So that's why I wanted to see your opinion on the matter. And that's
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
sorry. Like maybe that's a bit too far to the left or to the right, whatever. But I really don't care about that tournament. Like last season, I literally the only game I watched was the final, and we lost on penalties to some nonsense Kepa penalty, which I was upset about at the time, but then
it,
I got
it
over
was
it. Like
it was it was robbed from us. Like, I'm not
yeah,
saying, I'm not speaking on
with
BS,
that
man. You
yeah
saw
with
you
that
saw Marcus
Lukaku goal,
Rashford's
yeah,
goal against Liverpool. Like, if
yeah,
he is on a Chelsea shirt, that is disallowed.
yeah,
Lukaku's was disallowed. Mane scored an identical goal from an identical situation 6 days later against West Ham, and it was given, and it was the same VAR ref, Darren England, that didn't give that Lukaku goal in that day. So that's
yeah.
why I have that kind of regret also for the competition, not because of the magnitude of the competition, but for the circumstances that we lost the final. That what makes me a bit, raises a competitiveness inside me because of the circumstances. It's contextual rather than principle. So that's what I want to win it also, the Carabao Cup, for this reason, more than anything, because I felt that we are due to get one due to what happened last year. We missed chances, and I haven't still really forgiven Mount for what those chances he missed that day. But still, Lukaku's goal should have stood. And I,
I haven't forgiven Pulisic for turning in a stinker in the FA Cup final. Like
yeah,
he left
same.
his shoot. He
So
left
yeah,
his shooting. He left his shooting boots. His shooting boots in Hershey. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, the same. But the FA Cup final was a case of being a bit more balanced. Even Liverpool won the game on XG. In Carabao, Liverpool had their chances, but our chances were um, were literally sitters. Like even Pulisic had them, and I remember the chances you are talking about. One in the first half, and then one on Alisson when Lukaku flicked it to him. But Mount's cases were like those. But anyway, like I generally, it's the past now, and I hope that we win as many trophies as possible because it uplifts us all, and that's what the most important thing. However, I wanted it to ask you specifically on that because I wanted your opinion on, and it was very intriguing rant. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm very,
yeah. So
I
yeah,
was
as I
surprised
said,
on one side because you are so have the kind of m- mentality that we have to win it all, and you have always transpired it to me. But we hadn't talked about Carabao Cup specifically, maybe
yeah,
because of the previous episodes have been overly focused on the ownership situation and stuff. And this is the first show that we do that without the ownership discussion. So there
yeah.
is more
Like
on the.
I've, I've, I've always held the opinion that there are far too many fixtures in the English Premier League Canada. I think it's a disadvantage to have so many cup tournaments versus like because if you look at Germany, I think they have one. They have the Pokal. Spain have Copa del Rey.
Yeah, even France
Italy
and
have Coppa
Portugal have
Italia.
to.
Yeah, I think France have Coupe de la Ligue, but I think they might have another one as well. I'm not sure. I know they have the Trophée de Champion, but I think they have Coupe de la Ligue, and that's I think England's the only top five league with two domestic cup
I
tournaments.
think France have to. So
Yeah,
it's
I think
Coupe de
maybe
France
France have.
and Coupe de la Ligue.
Yeah, Coupe de France, Coupe de yeah, there you go. Yeah, so they've got
Yeah,
two as well. But I think it's ridiculous in this day and age with like 17 international breaks during the season, players traveling all over Europe for Champions League. Then you've got 38 Premier League games, and then you're adding FA Cup, and you're adding this energy drink cup no. I think they should either what they should do is get rid of this energy drink cup and remove replays from the FA Cup. So
yeah,
a tie goes straight to penalty. So you have only the FA Cup, only the Premier League, and only the Champions League, or only Europa League if you are Man United or
yeah.
Arsenal. You know, like I think that's how it should be finished. You know what I mean? Three tournament, and then players, then players have a chance to rest as well, or even better, if you're gonna keep this energy drink cup, you can open up a rule where teams can play only under 23 players. Like because I think I know
It's
teams get
not
in trouble if
it's not
team,
possible for the reason that the teams starting from bottom 10 in the Premier League and those that play in the other three levels of professional football uh, don't have that potential in their academies and their financial investment to build academies like Premier League top teams of the top
yeah.
half do.
No, sure
And
enough, but I'm just saying from a top team point of
no,
view,
I'm trying to be neutral.
if
I totally get your
if
point.
if you want to, you can play under 23 players only. You know what I mean? So, but I just think like I often like the reason I'm saying this as well, like that we can get knocked out early. I think we'll give City a game because, like you mentioned earlier, we can give anybody a game on their day. And I don't think it'll make it easy for City. But the reason I think as well, last season we suffered, especially after Chilwell got injured, is because Tuchel tried to win every tournament. He tried to win the Champions League. He tried to win the Carabao Cup. He tried to win the FA Cup. He tried to win the Club
Well,
World Cup.
I'm not against this.
And then he tried to, of course, for the first until November, he was trying to win the win the Premier League. So until November, he's probably succeeding at most of them, most if not all of them, and we were flying until November. However, I think our squad wasn't big enough to do that, and I think it's naive to do that as well. So I think until we have a really like literally two class players in every position, that's when I'll say fine, let's go and try and win it all. But now I'm going to be honest and say we need to prioritize things. So when it comes to a tie against Man City in the Carabao Cup, I'm okay if we play kids and lose.
Okay, but in retrospect, had we won the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, because only the tiniest of details didn't have us in the winning side of the things. So would it be the worst thing of all? Like, we had two trophies, and we could have finished it with four trophies. And during the course of the season, yes, it maybe impacted our physical situation on the on in the long run, like in the Premier League and stuff. But we still finished third, and by, as you said, Tuchel's determination to fight in every competition, with only uh, a bit more of luck, we could have had four trophies last season. So I don't think it was a case of us sacrificing the Premier League and Champions League ambitions just for the desire to win it all. I think it was a case of us being third in the Premier League, all due to the simple fact that we are the third best team in the league. Even when we totally focus in the Premier League, I don't think that we could have done much better in terms of following City and Liverpool in the in the whole context of it. Maybe we could have finished not 18 but 10 points behind them, but it shouldn't have come at the cost of sacrificing a trophy. So I agree with you when you say that Carabao Cup isn't as important, but for me, it's very refreshing to see a manager trying to fight, to make the team fight for every competition and take it serious, as long as it doesn't impact the team's ambitions in the most important competitions, so Premier League and Champions League. Even in the Champions League, we were eliminated through their individual brilliance that Real had, rather than um, a case of us over focusing on FA Cup and Carabao Cup. So do you get my point? Or so
Yeah, of course.
it's some, I agree with you, and at the same time I'm giving a point of mine, because I'm not against what you said, but I think that we were too near of winning it all. It's not a case of we uh, mortgaged our pursuit of Premier League and Champions League for FA Cup and Carabao Cup. It was a case of fighting in every competition and had the ability to win four trophies. We won two, fine, but we could have won four of them. And now we could have, at the end of the season, we have said Tuchel did very well that he prioritized also these trophies because we won, despite the fact that we played 63 games in the season, which is something that should be applauded. And that's how I see it. Liverpool sacrificed the League Cup game. We didn't, and we still won the Club World Cup. We played it 2 months later, I know, but the thing is that in retrospective, it doesn't seem the worst of case. And for me, the injuries came more due to the COVID situation, Premier League being so harsh with us, in order not to, they didn't postpone any of the games, rather than us over prioritizing Carabao and the FA Cup. But still, it remains to be discussed in the event, and I agree with you at the same time. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
for sure. Yeah, as I said, it's a tough one. I don't want to be like just sort of unnecessarily like anti-competitive, because I do believe that the club should try and go and win every game that they play, and that's kind of the ideal. But I just think until we have like a properly like set team, because we're still in transition, and I think until we have like a really set team that we know where we know where they're going, um, I think it should just be a case of like we kind of prioritize the competition, because I think our priority again is finishing fourth, so that we can continue our development. Continue in the Champions League, continue attracting the right kind of players, so that like in maybe next season or season after we can really like mount a proper challenge for the Premier League. Because I think our priority should be the Premier League. We already now, I think it's one or two behind Man City now. So we need to kind of catch that up, and then of course start to make a charge. I think for Arsenal on 13 league titles, so that we can overtake them and like really be the best team in London. Without any kind of debate. Um, before they even get anywhere close to winning the Champions League. Um, so Yeah. Is there anything else you necessarily wanted to talk about, or I think we could maybe
Yeah,
round off
we,
the
we
stream
will
here?
no, we'll round it off now. It was a bit more prolonged, but from my side, it was a very enjoyable discussion. As I
For
said,
sure.
great to have you back.
Yeah, good to be
Yes,
back.
yeah, it's always a pleasure for me. And with that, I say thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you for your support, and please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, in order not to miss any of the Frankly Fridays new shows, or also the new episodes of other shows in the channel. Hopefully, we'll have a win tomorrow, and hopefully, we'll get some great positive news starting from today until the end of the window in terms of our transfer activity. So, as I said, thanks a lot again. Thanks to Dan and thanks to everyone. Appreciate it, and see you next week. And bye.
Yeah, cool. Thanks again,
Cheers.
Helgi. Really good insight as always. Really good conversation. Thanks to everybody in the chat: Mikhail, Vive, Glenn, Fahim earlier, Abhinav. Yeah, thanks for everything, Helgi. You're expert, really excellent knowledge, great opinions, very balanced, very thorough as well as always. So thank you so much. Yeah, and we'll see you probably same time next week, if unless something changes. But yeah, take it easy, everybody. Helgi, take care, and we'll see you all, everybody in the chat, soon. Take care, guys.